Hi guys, this is the start of a new series called Talk Nerdy to Me. It's my belief that all of us have a nerd in us somewhere. We've all been laughed at in school, we've all not had the right words to say, we've all fallen flat on our face and gotten embarrassed. And part of us has retreated inside ourselves. So let's bring out our inner nerd for this new series. I will be approaching everything that I talked about in this series from aspect of a writer. The first thing I want to talk about is canon. You destroy canon, you destroy your series.
Destroy canon, destroy the show.
Today's episode deals with Doctor Who. I've been a fan of Doctor Who since the 80s. I had a history teacher in high school who would start every class before we got into our lessons talking about this show he was watching on our public PBS station. About this guy that traveled through time in a telephone box with a scarf that wrapped around him 4 and 5 times with this robot dog named K9. And the stories sounded so fantastical and silly I wanted to see, so I started watching and I fell in love with Doctor Who and have been a fan ever since. Now, let's talk about the show and canon itself. Doctor Who began in 1963 in England with William Hartnell as someone that we knew nothing about. He lived in a telephone box that could travel through time. That was all we knew. During his turn in the series, we went to the beginning of time here on Earth with cavemen. We went into space. We met Marco Polo. We met creatures called the Daleks, the Cybermen. We just traveled everywhere. But we knew nothing about him. That came later on. And it came about because Hartnell's health was failing, and they had to recast the actor. Well, the Doctor is what they called a Time Lord. And he was given 12 regenerations over his life. And then his 13th life cycle would be the end. Over those 12 life cycles, he traveled throughout time and space. He would have at least one companion with him. That companion was important because that companion was the audience. If you have someone that knows everything, they don't need to explain what they're doing. But if you have someone like us, well, Doctor, what's this? What's going on? Then he has to explain so we can understand. That's the show of Doctor Who. Within that premise, within that narrow focus of he can travel through time and space, and he has 12 life cycles, you can do anything. You can do a completely different show every time, as long as you keep it within canon. And the canon was simple. He's a time traveler. He has 12 cycles, and then he's done. So what happened?
What's happened?
The time has come for you to change your appearance, Doctor, and begin your exile.
Is this some sort of joke? No, I refuse to be treated. What are you doing? making me giddy.
Look, Brigadier, look! I think it's starting.
Well, here we go again. It's the end. But the moment has been prepared for.
The Watcher.
He was the Doctor all the time.
Feels different this time.
What was it you always told me, Doctor? Braveheart? You'll survive, Doctor.
You must survive. Too many of your enemies would delight in your death, Doctor.
Braveheart? You're needed. You mustn't die,
Too many of
Doctor.
your enemies would delight in your death, Doctor.
You know
You're
that.
needed. You mustn't die, Doctor.
You know that, Doctor.
Adric?
You're
You
needed.
know that.
You mustn't die, Doctor.
No, my dear Doctor, you must die. Die, Doctor. Die, Doctor.
Friends, companions I've known, I salute you. And Cass, I apologize. Physician, heal thyself.
Of course, suppose it makes sense. Wearing a bit thin.
I hope the ears are a bit less conspicuous this time.
Before I go, I just want to tell you were fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. And you know what? So was I.
Here we go. Good luck, Doctor.
Will someone please tell me what is going on?
When he's dying, his His body, it repairs itself, it changes. But you can't.
I'm sorry. It's too late. I'm regenerating. I don't want to go.
No, no. Please don't change.
At the heart of Doctor Who, it was a morality play. The Doctor could and would make tough decisions that would and could kill entire planets. But then when he was given the chance to wipe out the Daleks, and it's been established that the Daleks are the worst race of beings ever to exist. When the Doctor is given the chance to wipe them out, he doesn't do it. This is what he says.
Just touch these two strands together, and the Daleks are finished. Have I that right?
To destroy the Daleks, you can't doubt it.
But I do. You see, some things could be better with the Daleks. Many future worlds will become allies just because of their fear of the Daleks.
It isn't like that.
But the final responsibility is mine. Mine alone. Listen, if someone who knew the future pointed out a child to you and told you that that child would grow up totally evil, to be a ruthless dictator who would destroy millions of lives, could you then kill that child?
We're talking about the Daleks, the most evil creatures ever invented. You must destroy them. You must complete your mission for the Time Lords.
Do I have the right? Simply touch one wire against the other, and it's it. The Daleks cease to exist. Hundreds of millions of people, thousands of generations can live without fear, in peace, and never even know the word Dalek.
Then why wait? If it was a disease or some sort of bacteria you were destroying, you wouldn't hesitate.
But if I kill, wipe out a whole intelligent life form, then I become like them. I'd be no better than the Daleks.
Think of all the...
Some of the people that we met along the way was Romana, a female Time Lord who traveled with the Doctor. We met other renegade Time Lords, such as the Ronnie, a female Time Lord, and the Master, a male Time Lord. That's important. Why is that important? Because if you destroy canon, you destroy the series. Doctor Who would go on hiatus in 1989 with the Seventh Doctor. It was during the time that it was off the air that it really expanded. There were Doctor Who novels, there were audio books, there were magazines, one of which I worked for. Even though B. Joe Trimble's Sci-Fi Spotlight was published during Doctor Who's wilderness years, it kept fans of the franchise connected, and it was an honor to be a part of it. The show came back in 2005, and it was essentially the same show. until it wasn't. What do I mean by that? Well, they started to bend canon. The 12th Doctor would meet Missy. Who's Missy? Well, she's the Master. Only when she regenerated, she became a female Time Lord. That was the first time that the canon had been changed. Through all of the Doctor's incarnations, he had always been a male. So you are to believe that that is what happens. And then after the 12th Doctor regenerated, we had another Time Lord going on like it was no big deal. And this time, he became she. Jodie Whittaker became the first female Time Lord, until she wasn't. The writers, in their infinite wisdom, decided to change canon completely. William Hartnell was not the first Doctor. They rewrote canon and made Jo Martin the first Doctor. Made the first Doctor a little black girl. The Doctor had never been female or black. Nothing wrong with having female or black Time Lords. It had been established there were female Time Lords. The BBC could have simply given Romana or the Ronnie a show with a female Time Lord. They could have spun the Master off into a show if they wanted an evil Time Lord. But they decided to destroy canon. Slate. This was the decline of Doctor Who. If you set rules, whatever the rules are, you can occasionally bend them if the story demands it, but only if the story demands it. But you can't break them just so you can be something else. Once you do that, you don't have a show. You don't have a movie. You don't have a book. You don't have a character. We all have rules that we live by. If you break those rules, then if you break the rules that you live by too often, then you become someone else, whether you admit it or not. 2026, the year that I'm recording this, Doctor Who has been put out to tender. What does that mean? That means that the BBC has decided that the show's not worth continuing. Because after Jodie Whittaker became the Doctor, then they spun, then she reincarnated into Cutie Gatwa. Black and gay. Again, nothing wrong with being black and or gay. But that was never the Doctor's character. The Doctor had no homosexuality, heterosexuality. He was asexual. That was not part of his being. He was driven by either logic or rage, depending on the story. You took identity politics and you destroyed canon and you destroyed the show. Thanks, BBC. Until next time, bring out your inner nerd and talk nerdy to me.